As I said before, Dynamesh is the other type of sculpture that we can use in ZBrush. It is powerful, which will allow us to fix certain irregularities that the sculpture by subdivision will not allow us. Again, let's say that we scratch the neck, as we did in the previous video. And we know that with subdivisions this cannot be solved. However, Dynamesh will help us in this. The only thing we have to do is go to this tab where we find geometry and click on Dynamesh, but before that we have to eliminate all the subdivisions that our object brings. In this case, just click on the lower and the subdivisions will be removed. Once done this, we will click on Dynamesh. Well, here it tells us that we cannot masking. It is a useful thing that it is good to be considered. You will easily realize that something has changed in our model. What happened was that Dynamesh recalculated all the mesh. Recalculated the entire surface and generated a base of polygons. Although they are irregular, they have more or less the same shape. In this way, we see that the neck problem was corrected because the polygons were distorted. Again, we are going to the form of the character and we see clearly that here are distorted polygons. That is very elongated, and this will allow us more detail. Now that we have activated Dynamesh, we will simply have to remove whatever mask we have. Now, pressing and holding down Ctrl and making a mask out of the model, Dynamesh will be in charge again to recalculate the area that was distorted. This is a great ability that has Dynamesh, that allows to generate forms regardless of the number of polygons. Dynamesh works much like subdivisions, but in this case, it works with an option called resolution. The more resolution we set, the more polygons the object will have, which will allow us to have a greater amount of detail. We will lower the resolution a little to see the example. We will recalculate here. We will deform a little here too. Well, here we see that it got a lot worse, but we can see what I was trying to say. As you saw, I lowered the resolution, as you see here, the number of polygons was reduced. This tool is very useful. I cannot deny it, but for me, as an artist, this tool has two flaws. Other artists will say no, but it is an opinion and advice for you. The first is that, in this case, once it's in a high subdivision, or to put it another way, that it has a high number of polygons, it will not be able to return. That is, I will not be able to have a somewhat lighter model that can move at my whim. And as I go up that resolution and add in details, I will not be able to undo that. I will have to continue with a character that it will be a burden on the program in the long run. This small problem, that is, the computer is getting slow because of having so many polygons, can be solved by simply partially hiding the model. Leaving only the part where we are working. This will lighten up the load of the program. However, when the number of polygons is too large, not even cancelling the modeling can lighten the load. However, we have already seen the benefits of Dynamesh, and we see it worth it since it has several incredible details. The other disadvantage that I see is when you regenerate the mesh. We will see a quick example here. Okay, we will regenerate this small area, and we will see that not only will this area be regenerated, but that the polygons in the adjacent areas will be redistributed. Let's see. It seems that was very little, but we saw that somehow moved very little geometry, but when we have a sculpture with a lot of details and regenerate our mesh, what will happen is that some of those details will be modified. Let's make an example. Let's say that I have the character at a very advanced level, and I'm making very minimal details like the pore of the skin. What will happen many times, or at least it happened to me, is that when I regenerate the mesh, some of those pores or parts of those textures will be distorted. Although slightly, yes, because it is a small change, but it is something that I don't like, because many times when I have very definite or very exact features, some of them are lost. I repeat, it is something I don't like, but I insist that it's just an opinion, since there are many artists who literally start and finish their work in Dynamesh. It is up to you to make your own judgment through the work you do. Basically, those are the two forms of sculptures in ZBrush. Now, you know what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of the methods of modeling. With more practice, you will learn what method is the best in any case. I hope you like this explanation, and in the next video let's continue our character by first turning it into a sculpture by Dynamesh.